The reforms of Khrushchev and Gorbachev. Important terms: de-Stalinization, a policy dedicated towards purging a country's Stalin's memory, such as monuments of the former dictator. The Cuban Missile Crisis, a confrontation between the United States and the Soviet Union in 1962 over the possession of missiles in Cuba, one of the hottest periods of the Cold War. Democratization, the process of creating a government elected by the people. Glasnost is a Soviet policy of openness and the free flow of ideas and information, introduced in 1985 by Gorbachev. Preshnost, a reconstruction of the Soviet economy to permit more local decision-making, begun by Gorbachev in 1985. Stalin dies in 1953. Khrushchev and Gorbachev become part of his group of successors. They begin the long process of de-Stalinization. Statues and monuments of the dictator were torn down. Although some people mourned the loss of their leader, most were very happy to see him go. Political prisoners were released from the gulags. In 1956, Khrushchev gave a secret speech revealing Stalin's crimes against his country. Stalin had thousands of people arrested under suspicion of treason against the communist system. These people were loyal communists, workers, managers, and soldiers. Prisoners were tortured, starved, beaten, and even executed. Nobody in the Soviet Union had been saved from Stalin's terror. This helped sustain Stalin's memory and allow for political change. Because of the way the economy had been run by the government, it was strongly militarily based, and consumer goods were few and poorly made. There were food shortages most of the time. This led to a weak economy and an unhappy population. Gorbachev introduced the policy of perestroika, a restricting of the economy. This allowed for more local decision-making. He took some money out of the arms race and put it into consumer goods and housing. The reforms allowed for permission of privately owned businesses. Gorbachev also called for a policy of glasnost, giving the press more freedom and less censorship. Within a few years, people had lost their fear of speaking out. New technologies like the internet, fax machine, and TVs allowed the Soviet Union to spread its ideas further and receive ideas from other countries. Glasnost allowed the creation of pop culture. This created a breed of people that rejected all of the Soviet past. This stirred some people into thinking about democratization in the Soviet Union. Gorbachev also added multiple candidate elections, but there remained one party, the Communist Party. The people were happy with the reforms, but as the Soviet Union began to loosen their grip, it began to lose control. Countries started demanding their freedom, which eventually led to the fall of the Soviet Union. In between de-Stalinization and glasnost was the Cuban Missile Crisis. October 14 through 28, 1962. The Soviets aligned themselves with Communist Cuba and provided them with 42 nuclear missiles. An American spy plane discovered them on a flyby. President John F. Kennedy was immediately informed. They were declared a national threat. Their firing range could reach D.C. Kennedy began negotiating with the Soviets on their removal. The United States came up with 3 plans of defense: a naval blockade to prevent the delivery of more warheads, diplomatic negotiations, or an airstrike and invasion on Cuba. The blockade was put into place and the negotiations began. The Soviets requested that the warheads in Turkey and Italy be removed, and that America would not invade Cuba. Kennedy disagreed with their request on the missiles, but agreed not to invade Cuba. Discreetly, Kennedy told the Soviets that they were removing the Jupiter missiles in Turkey voluntarily a few months later. Later that evening, the Soviet leader agreed. After the missiles were removed, the Americans dropped the blockade. This ended the Cuban Missile Crisis.